crypto is legal in India.
How much of your personal wealth have you bet on crypto?
I think about 50% would be crypto. 10 years ago, this was actually 99% of my portfolio.
Were you delusional?
Calculative bet.
Why did Bitcoin crash again?
When people see uncertainty, Bitcoin becomes the first asset class where they can take out money.
Does anybody get hurt?
Absolutely. A lot of companies have started to accumulate crypto. Price starts to go down, these companies are the first one to get hit. People who have held for almost 10 years have taken out billions of dollars, which makes price fall further and further and further. So when the price falls, then leverage will change the game entirely. If the price falls by 10%, your entire 100 rupees is wiped off.
Countries are taking crypto as a sovereign asset. UK, US, even UAE, even Bhutan. Do you think that we will miss the bus?
Definitely. That is why you're seeing a lot of founders, a lot of companies are now moving to, places like Dubai, Abu Dhabi, US, even Singapore.
EMIs are silent killers of wealth.
If I were to take more risk, I can't have loans, EMIs kind of pulling me down.
Are we financially weaker as a generation?
Because of the social media, pressure of showcasing your life to the world is making you spend more.
Aren't you late to the party? There is a Zerodha, there is a Groww.
But nothing has changed in the life of the user. He still doesn't know which stock to invest in, what to buy, when to sell, when to book profit, when to double down on a stock and average his price.
If anybody, say a 25-year-old or a 26-year-old has 50,000 today, should they invest in crypto?
Obviously not the entire 50,000.
If somebody starts investing about 10,000 rupees per month for the next 10 years, what is the kind of returns they will see? My understanding of crypto as an asset class is almost negligible. I'm hoping that by the end of this conversation, I'll be a lot more aware about crypto because my understanding is so less. I've never invested in crypto.
Sure.
With that as the starting point, let me try to understand why did Bitcoin crash again?
Sure. So nobody in reality can tell you the exact reason why it crashed, right? And I think it is a culmination of few factors which caused it to decline. First was that industry was expecting a rate cut, was also expecting Clarity Act to pass in the US, which would regulate crypto in a much stronger form as say MiCA regulations in Europe. Industry was also expecting a lot of changes around say strategic reserves and many other factors, which hasn't happened, right? And the geopolitical tensions you are seeing, risk assets are the first one to get hit. Bitcoin has the highest liquidity of any asset class available, traded 24/7, and it's always a risk on asset. So when people see uncertainty, Bitcoin becomes the first asset class where they can take out money very easily. And that's what we have seen, right? When people take out their money, price falls. In crypto, there is something called futures, which gives you excessive leverage, even 100x, even some exchanges give you 125x leverage.
What is a leverage?
Leverage is basically, say you have $100. They will allow you to trade for say $1,000. So that is 10x leverage. With 100 rupees, you can take a position of 1,000 rupees in Bitcoin.
So,
but if the price falls by 10%, your entire 100 rupees is wiped off. That's called liquidation, right? So any movement, if it's moved 1% up, you get actually 10% returns. But if it moves 1% down, you get minus 10% return. So it's a leverage. It's a much riskier bet to take. And in crypto, these leverages are all across the industry. Actually, the leverage crypto market is much, much bigger than the spot market where you're just buying and selling. So when the price falls, now these liquidated positions need to be liquidated in the market, which makes price fall further and further and further. So this deleveraging is what we call. So all these leverage bets kind of started to get liquidated. Kind of a deleveraging of the entire industry start to happen. And that's why you are seeing price fall so suddenly, in Bitcoin, almost 50% down from all-time highs.
Correct, correct. I also read somewhere that who had taken position about a decade ago, they are selling in the market. Is that also a
That
reason?
is also so. In the lifetime of Bitcoin, this time has only been this time where such big amount of money can be taken out from the market without impacting the market so much, right?
Right.
So billions of dollars, people have, people who have held for almost 10 years have taken out billions of dollars because institutions were coming in. There was a lot of demand. Now supply has to meet that demand, right? So these people were selling because there was enough liquidity available in the market, but that impacted the price maybe a little. But cascading liquidations kind of caused it to go further down and down and down, right? So obviously that could be a trigger point, people selling to start with, which made the price go maybe 10% lower. But once it hit 10% lower, all these leverage bets kind of started to get deleveraged, and which pushed the price further down.
Does anybody get hurt because of this fall in the market?
Absolutely. A lot of companies, you have seen that a lot of companies have started to accumulate crypto and created strategy based on holdings of cryptos like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP. And when price starts to go down, these companies are the first one to get hit. Retail users, HNI investors have also gotten hit because some of the retail investors get into the market with a very short-term perspective. They feel that, oh, the price is going up, I will invest, my money will double, I will take out in a year and be done with it. They don't think crypto as a long-term investment, but actually crypto is a long-term bet. In the last 5 years, we have seen that crypto has outpaced every single asset class, CAGR of close to 100% in Bitcoin over the last 5 years, right? Beating every single asset class. But if you look at in isolation, you will find places where it has given minus 40% return, minus 20% return. And some retail investors who don't understand this asset class well enough come into it as a bet, as a gamble, rather than a well-informed investment over a long horizon, are the ones who get hurt by this a lot.
Assuming that most of them do not know about CoinSwitch, what does CoinSwitch do?
So CoinSwitch helps you invest in crypto very simply. With one click, you can get in and get out of crypto. So it's an investment platform which allows you to invest in a whole lot of cryptos, almost 250 plus. Have futures and options for traders. Have Web3 coins for enthusiast crypto folks as well, who can get into this ecosystem through us, a regulated FIU registered exchange in India. One of the best, highest level of security in this ecosystem that can provide. And CoinSwitch enables you to hide the complexity of crypto and give you a very clear path to just bring in money, buy any crypto you want, sell it, and take money back to your bank account. Make crypto investment as simple as ordering food online or booking a cab. Right?
Do you need a demat account to invest in crypto?
No. So demat account is needed for SEBI registered entities, say it bonds, say it stock brokers. In some cases now mutual funds are also dematerializing and moving to demat accounts. But crypto today in India is unregulated. Doesn't mean it's illegal. A lot of people confuse unregulated with illegal. Crypto is legal in India.
When billions of worth of crypto was sold, that means a lot of people earned a lot of profit, right?
Yeah.
Which also means that money would have been invested somewhere.
Yes.
Where do you think that money got invested?
I personally feel that gold was the closest bet to crypto.
I can see the parallel that you're drawing between Bitcoin and gold.
Yeah. So I think, but gold has different problems. There is the digital version of the gold does not exist, right? You still have to store physically. For a user, it's very complicated. Even for countries, it is very complicated. You have seen Fort Knox, like the vaults created across the world to store this gold. Plus, you can't segment or create smaller and smaller quantities of gold. It becomes very, very hard.
What drives the price of crypto up or down?
Yeah. So it's simply demand and supply. right? So if a lot of countries adopt Bitcoin, right, what will happen? Their users, as government officials, will start to accumulate Bitcoin. Since supply is limited, the price will continue to go up.
Countries are taking crypto as a sovereign asset.
Yeah.
UK, US, even UAE,
Yeah.
even
Even
Bhutan.
Bhutan. Yeah.
Bhutan. Do you think India as a country is still confused about crypto as a sovereign asset, or do you think that it is something else?
I think it's more of taking on that risk early or not, right? It's a very cautious approach, and I don't blame that approach at all, right? I personally believe that government has taken a right step whether to hold Bitcoin itself or not, right? If I were in their place, I would also not hold Bitcoin today, right?
Do you think that not regulating it at this moment, we would miss the bus? And I'm asking this question because if you look at the US, there has been an act around stablecoin. The Clarity Act is
Yeah.
in its process. UK has been talking about regulating, coming out with the Crypto Act this year. Singapore, Hong Kong have become great places of advocacy when it comes to
Yes.
regulating crypto. It seems to be a future asset class with no regulations in place. Do you think that we will miss the bus?
Definitely. I think that's what we are feeling in India as well, right? And that is why you're seeing a lot of founders, a lot of companies are now moving to, places like Dubai, Abu Dhabi, US, even Singapore, where there is regulation clarity. So we have to take a step back and understand how does innovation happen in a country, right? Entrepreneurs like us sit and think of a problem that exists in real world, try to create solutions for it, which is uncertain. 99 out of the 100 solutions built doesn't work, right? They fail 99% of the times, right? But one solution worked, which become big enough and make all of our life much easier. But in this uncertainty ecosystem where there 99% of the people will fail, you put another uncertainty, whether crypto will get regulated in India. If you build a company on crypto and blockchain ecosystem, will it be adopted or will it be banned completely one day out? So they rather go outside where there is clarity. While there is no clarity on the solutions they are building, they still have to fail 99% of the times to succeed 1% of the times. But there's they're not taking an additional risk of uncertainty in regulation, right? And that's what need to happen in India, right? And I'm not saying that crypto is the answer to all the solutions, all the problems that exist in India.
And teens are in teens. So the oldest of the teen is Bitcoins. But how many types of cryptocurrencies, how many cryptocurrencies are there in this world today?
So there could be millions. Sitting here in an interview, I can create a crypto because creating crypto is not hard, right? Creating crypto is like registering your company. If I ask you how many companies are registered in India, like probably hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
But how many actually do business? Probably 5% of them. Some people just register the company and never do anything with it.
Right. So how many, basically what I wanted to ask was how many of them are of a decent size, scale?
Sure. So probably
and worth investing in.
Yeah. So the crypto ecosystem, I will say for you, only two cryptos exist in this world: Bitcoin and Ethereum. Start there. Nothing more than that. No, don't go to meme coins, nothing, nowhere else. You just invest in these two.
I'll come to that investing thesis.
No, so I'll just complete the answer.
Sure.
So if you're a regular investor, there are about 500 tokens listed on our exchange. I still believe gold can be replaced digitally by Bitcoin over the next decade, but without worrying about price. When this price falls, people have negative feelings. When price will go up, you will see the same people change the tune and say, oh no, this is the right Bitcoin. So if you remove that factor, I would say on-chain activity, adoption across the world, regulation, everything is favoring Bitcoin to be the digital gold. And that has been on path. It has continued to grow from 2009 till today. And I'm very confident that it will continue to grow from there if you remove price as a factor.
Right. So gold is mined, so is Bitcoin. The process is very different. I think, if I'm not wrong, every 10 minutes a certain number of bitcoins are mined. This number of bitcoins that are mined every 10 minutes gets halved every 4 years. And this has been the rule,
Yes.
right? To the extent that people say that only 21 million bitcoins can be mined.
Yes.
Who made this rule? And is there a way this rule can be changed?
Sure. So Satoshi Nakamoto is a pseudonym who created Bitcoin. Nobody knows his real identity. So there used to be a problem. I'll go into a bit technical, but
Sure,
you know,
please.
if
Please.
I'll give you enough context on where this comes from. So there's a problem, a mathematical problem called Byzantine's generals problem. In simple terms, there is a fort, and there are two armies on the left, one army on the left, one army on the right. If they both attack together, this fort can be won. But there is no way to communicate securely between these two armies at what time to attack. So they have to coordinate their attack to make sure that they can attack together this fort and win this fort. Right? So this has been an unsolved mathematical problem from 1857. Through blockchain, this was the first time a process was created where two parties can contact each other without a trusted third party in between to be able to communicate securely between the two. And that is what is called blockchain. And this is the Byzantine's general problem. First time in the world in 2009 is where Satoshi Nakamoto, a pseudonym, a developer, who kind of created the blockchain ecosystem, which ended up solving this problem. This is what the ecosystem was built by Satoshi Nakamoto with these rules that only 21 million Bitcoin can be mined till eternity. Every 4 years, the reward will get halved. Every 10 minutes, one block where a list of transaction blockchain will process and put it on the blockchain so that nobody in the world can manipulate these. These are the rules which are set in the code itself. I can copy the code and create my own code, but that won't be Bitcoin anymore. That would be a hard fork. That would be, say, Bitcoin X or new Bitcoin. So the original Bitcoin cannot be modified. If you modify that, it will create a new fork.
Why can't the original code be changed?
So to change the original code, what happens is there is a process called consensus across all the developers that need to happen. 51% need to agree for that change to happen. If 51% agree, that change can be part of the ecosystem. But to change it fundamentally, 51% will not agree.
So in a nutshell, if we have to conclude that it cannot be converted from a finite to an infinite.
Yes.
We have talked about the number of people who hold Bitcoins in America. There's about close to 50 million people, over 50 million people. What is that number in India?
So in India, roughly, I would say about 2 to 2.5 crore users hold Bitcoin or crypto.
Some form
of crypto, right? I think this number has been overinflated by a lot of companies saying 100 million Indians or something like that. But I think its number is much smaller.
20 million is what you're saying.
It's about 25 million is where it sits. A lot of exchanges, like we have almost 25 million or 2.5 crore users. We are the largest in India. But the other exchange can also say I have 2 crore users. But a lot of these users are overlapping, right? So real number, unique number in India would be somewhere 2.5 crore itself. Is still adopting, but regulation and taxation has caused a lot of hurdle in that growth. So from 2020 when the RBI ban was reverted till 2022, you have seen a lot of adoption in India. But after 2022, when the taxation guidelines came in, a lot of people have started moving to offshore exchanges. So maybe this number is bigger, but we would not know, because on Indian exchanges, this is what the data is. A lot of people, to evade taxes, have started moving to foreign exchanges. And now that data will not exist with even the government or with us, but within the ecosystem, within the Indian ecosystem, this number would be about 2.5.
But that's a net loss for the government.
Yes.
Do you think money is a root cause of all the problems? And if there was no money involved in the society, would the society be a different place to live in?
Okay, so these are, I think, two different, very different questions. I'll answer the first one a little differently. Is money the root cause of all the problems? Right? If you ask,
Or is it a solution?
is it a solution? Right? If it's a problem, and then it can be a solution as well. So I think where I come from a very humble middle class background, where if I look back and if we had money, a lot of our problems would have been better, right?
What were the toughest problems? Apart from the fact that you had to run to banks for a very, very long time just to get an education loan of 2 lakh rupees. उसको छोड़ के और क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम्स
So आज मैं सुबह ही अपनी मॉम से बात कर रहा था, तो we are celebrating her 70th birthday. And I was asking her कि माँ आज से पहले कभी बर्थडे सेलिब्रेट, क्योंकि हमारी लाइफ टाइम जब से हम पैदा हुए हैं मैंने तो नहीं देखा मम्मी पापा को. तो शी वॉज टेलिंग मी कि यार कभी इस बर्थडे सेलिब्रेशन के बारे में तो सोचा भी नहीं. When they were small, they were, I think, 6 siblings, right? And obviously, my mom, her father passed away very early. So, Nani did all the work and everything. So, वो उनके जहन में ही नहीं था कि बर्थडे जैसी कोई चीज़ होती है. एंड शी वॉज स्टिल वेरी इमोशनल इन कि यार पहले तो सर्वाइव करना मुश्किल होता था, खाना मिल जाए दैट इज इनफ, rather than celebrating birthdays, right? So I think a lot of these problems, a lot of even as a child, you feel the helplessness of your parents, right? I'm sorry.
It's okay.
So I know a lot of problems when you're just trying to survive versus when you're trying to thrive. Our problems are very different. I think those feeling has gotten us to this level because we fought like hell in every single thing, got the job. My one aim in life was to get my father a car. That's it, right? I didn't know what would I do after that once I bought the car for him.
Do you think that today's generation is financially weaker than what our parents were?
Sure. So again, it can't be generalized. It can't be said that today's generation is weaker or stronger. So when I look at how we have grown up, we are definitely much better to where our parents were today. But if I look at a younger generation than me, they are even like, if they have grown up in the same, then what they are trying to do, I think a lot of showcasing your wealth culture has kind of built in.
Yeah.
Which is causing them this financial harm, which they don't probably today understand, but will soon.
थोड़ा सा कॉन्टेक्स्ट देता हूँ. अभी लास्ट ईयर मेरे साथ एक सिचुएशन, मेरा बहुत अच्छा दोस्त है. This guy is a friend, but he's about 6 years younger to me. So house on loan, phones on EMI, 65 inches televisions on EMI. If you look at the kind of expense, I call it the Instagram lifestyle, because of which whatever you are earning, whatever you are spending, you are unable to save enough for the rainy days, or even when you grow old. Inflation has not been kind to us. Our salary growth has not reflected the inflation growth as well. Given all these things, they are unable to invest in any kind of asset class, whether it's crypto, whether it's FDs, whether it's stocks, mutual funds, anything, right?
I think because a lot of our lives are on social media, and social media, you always share good things, right? So I think it has become a life, a little bit of like you showcase it to others rather than figuring out your own. If I talk about myself, right, I've always tried to live below what I currently is worth, right? So that, because I always think of it that this is a privileged life I've been given. Someday it might be taken away. So any point in time, I should be able to survive no matter what the conditions are. But I think today's generation, and a lot of, I'm not just talking about Gen Zs, even, as you grow, because of the social media, pressure of showcasing your life to the world is making you spend more, and sometimes spend more than what you own or what you earn, right? Which makes you into this debt trap, which you probably may not realize unless something unfortunate happens. I definitely believe that it has to be some level of safety net needs to be created, and a lot of loans and EMIs are kind of destroying that to a certain extent, because people are trying to live beyond their means and trying to acquire or experiences or assets which probably today they are not well placed with.
Do you think EMIs are silent killers of wealth?
If you would have asked me this question some time ago, the answer would have been a sure shot yes. Because again, this comes from my experience. I can't generalize it to everyone. It is more practical because I seen it practically being applied. Is when you take a loan, there is always an obligation. EMIs are not something that you'll do it for 1 year. Probably it's a long term, like a 5 year or something, to break it down across the years, which kind of create a liability over the years. You can't change your lifestyle too much. You can't, afford a lot of hiccups in your life to be able to sustain that EMI for a long term. So my rule in life was to never to take a loan ever, because I don't want to be binded down to a lifestyle. If I want to start my own company, I should be able to, because those were my ambition. So if I were to take more risk, I can't have loans, EMIs kind of pulling me down, because I have an obligation to be fulfilled. I don't live my life the way I want to.
If anybody, say a 25-year-old or a 26-year-old has 50,000 today, should they invest in crypto?
So if this is 50,000 for investment, I would say definitely. They should consider crypto. Obviously not the entire 50,000, maybe somewhere 5 to 6% of 50,000, which is 3-4,000 bucks. They should choose to put in crypto ecosystem as well, because they are young, they can afford the risk and they can invest for a longer term.
What would be the 5 simplest way to invest in crypto in the safest manner?
Then crypto is slightly different because it's unregulated in India. Companies are are not bound by specific laws, right? So you should definitely choose a company which is more safe, secure, big enough. Obviously, I'm biased. I will say, choose CoinSwitch. We have over 2.5 crore users, one of the safest platform on the ecosystem.
And what would be the 4 other things?
So 4 other things would be what to invest in. First is, when you get into a stock market or a mutual fund, there are hundreds and hundreds to choose from. What do you get started? Similar to that in crypto as well. There are thousands of tokens out there. Which one do you start your investment journey with, right?
Which one?
Bitcoin is the OG. Bitcoin is the original gangster, is the first crypto, has already been adopted across the world. Although you may not see 100x, 200x very quickly, which a lot of people come with that mindset, but you will see consistent returns beating the market in the long horizon of investment. In the last 5 years, Bitcoin has given a CAGR of almost 100%, right? So invest, repeatedly and invest consistently in this asset class, and Bitcoin should be the first one. Step 3, if you're thinking of diversification, you don't want to hedge just in Bitcoin, but want to explore other crypto, what they do, how they do, then you can maybe invest 20% in Ethereum as well. Third thing you need to do as an investor is to learn about what is crypto, right? The best way I have found to be able to get enough interest to learn about crypto is to see your investment going up and down. But once you understand this ecosystem, that is the 4th point where you need to explore more. What could be the next trend into this industry, and how can I get ahead in this ecosystem? 5th, which is the most important part, is to do regular investment. Don't treat it like one-time investment, because the price fluctuates. A risk-on asset, so the volatility is very high. So you may have bought at peak, or you may have bought at bottom, or maybe use SIP as the best way to have a crypto SIPs as an off-touch approach, where it will consistently average your price and give you a better return at the end of the day.
The biggest mistakes first time crypto buyers or early stage investors make when they invest in crypto?
They choose the wrong platform and the wrong coin, right? sometimes a friend would come and say, oh, this crypto is going to boom and could be the next Bitcoin in the making. They don't do their research, end up investing in something and it tanks, right? It just built on hype and not the underlying use case that it is supposed to, right? So a lot of people invest in meme coins, right? Like Doge, SHIB. I'm not saying there is anything wrong with it, but that shouldn't be your first investment. You should carefully consider where does it fit in your portfolio? How does it fit in your portfolio? Are looking for a short-term horizon, long-term horizon, and then take those calls. Don't get into FOMO, fear of missing out, and invest in something that you will regret. I personally stay away from meme coins, and that I can tell you, although a lot of Indians don't take that advice from me, they still invest in meme coins. Doge is among the top two cryptos that people invest in.
Why?
Because I think they get into that mindset of making quick money, right? One Elon Musk tweet can make Doge go 100% up.
If somebody starts investing about 10,000 rupees per month, they continue to invest for the next 10 years, what is the kind of returns they will see?
What I can give you is the consistent return Bitcoin has given over the last 5 to 10 years. It has beaten all the asset classes across the world, not just Indian stocks or mutual fund, but take it gold, silver, take it US stocks, Nasdaq, any asset that you take, it has beaten that.
What is the least amount of money you can do an SIP of?
So you can do 100 rupees, starting from $100. You can do SIP or buy.
Right. How much of your personal wealth is have you bet on crypto?
So if you look at now, right, obviously my company is a crypto company. Now we have Lemonn as well. But most of the wealth I have is CoinSwitch shares, which is obviously related or tied up.
Apart from that.
All the liquid cash, if you talk about, I think about 50% would be crypto, 50% would be other assets. I know it's little out there, but when I invested, this was very small. When I invested almost 10 years ago, this was actually 99% of my portfolio. I only had about 10 lakh or 12 lakh to invest in. And I bet everything on crypto because I believed in the ecosystem so much. Now, over time, obviously, I've earned.
Were you delusional or was it a calculative bet?
So it was a calculative bet in a way, right? So I was putting my life on crypto, right? I was starting a company. If the company failed, then anyway, I would have lost all of it. What is the point of saving 5 lakh? So when I do something, I go all in, right? I don't do half-hearted anything, right? So the idea was that if Bitcoin succeeds, then my company will succeed. Then I will personally also will succeed.
What has been your relationship with money? Coming from Meerut to now, let's break it down into 3 phases. Till the time you were in Meerut, the next 10 years when you came out, first job, and the last 4-5 years when you actually have seen a lot of wealth.
So I think initially, like I spoke about, the struggles in a middle class family that everyone I think is very familiar with, right? So as a kid, I don't remember the exact time or age, but probably I was in second class or second class. And I think from seeing my parents struggle with money, I didn't even know that I could understand that part. I still don't know, maybe it's made up in my mind. But I started feeling helpless as a very young kid. And I didn't know how can I help my parents to do better, right? The only way for me to do better was to save whatever I could and to study as hard as possible to be able to get a good job and to get us out of that position, right? So I'll tell you a very small incident. Although also it may not matter at a larger scheme of things, but I used to get 1 rupee every day for my mom would say that if you want to eat something in school or do whatever, you can take this rupee. And there used to be a bread pakoda that we used to get in our school, and I would always entice to get that, right? So what I will do is I will stand diagonally opposite to the canteen so that I have the farthest distance from the canteen and I'm not enticed by it, and I would save that 1 rupee every single day, right? It didn't matter, it was just small thing, but I think that built my character, that built my discipline over time. The other motivation I had was my father had to sell his car because of some need of money, and he always wanted a Honda City. He'll see it on the road and he'll say, one day I'll buy that car. And I think that kind of stuck to me forever. One goal in life was that the moment I can afford a Honda City for my dad, I would have made it, right? And I think that drove a lot of my initial decisions, initial life growing up, right? Once I got into a job, I think within 9 months, I was able to afford Honda City for my dad. So I joined my job in June of 2011. In March of 2021, 2012, I was able to afford that car, and that kind of a liberation in a way, because I didn't know what more to do with my life. So during that time of job, comfortable living, the idea was to create enough safety net for my parents that the day I decide to quit and go into the unknown of starting up, where the chances of failure are 99%, can I have enough room for myself so that I don't have to worry about my parents? If some medical emergency comes in, anything comes in, I can take care of it without hurting my dreams as well. So, 4 years working at Amazon, I sold my shares about, I think, 25 lakh. 20 lakh I gave to my parents, 5 lakh I bought Bitcoin and, dabbled into one startup which failed, then went back again to the job, and then in 2017, ended up creating CoinSwitch, right? The third phase, which is, now I have enough money to afford a lot of things. I still, you won't believe, but I still have an Excel which talks about if things go wrong, how would my finances look every single month, right? I still maintain that because I believe that it is a privilege that I've been given all of this wealth. Probably I don't deserve it, or I don't know when it'll go away, but I should still be in the position to continue to chase my dreams no matter what happens. Why do I need a fancy car? I can get any car.
What car do you have?
I have Creta. Right? It's a decent car. Yes. Yeah. So, but I could have afforded.
BMW तो खरीद सकते हो, क्यों नहीं खरीदा?
वो तो मैं तो रेंज रोवर भी खरीद सकता हूँ, but I don't want to, because मुझे
EMI भी तो नहीं लेना पड़ेगा उसके लिए.
EMI भी नहीं लेना पड़ेगा उसके लिए. बट मेरा ये है कि क्या मैं उसको अफोर्ड कर पाऊंगा अगर मेरे पास कुछ नहीं हुआ? उसकी मेंटेनेंस ही 10-15 लाख की होगी, मुझे लगता है, साल की. अगर वो भी तो एक टाइट डाउन है, वो EMI नहीं है, लेकिन वो आपकी लाइफस्टाइल को अपग्रेड कर देता है. अगर आप आज 1 लाख रुपए महीने पे जी रहे हो, अगर आप रेंज रोवर खरीद लेते हो, तो आप शायद 1.5 लाख रुपए महीने पे जीना शुरू करोगे. उसकी सर्विसिंग भी कराओगे, उसमें डेंट भी लगेंगे, एक्सेसिव खर्चा होगा, तो आपका बेस चेंज हो जाएगा. तो जैसे जैसे आप चीज़ें अपग्रेड करते रहते हो, आपका बेस चेंज होता रहता है. बट द मोमेंट यू फील लाइक कि यार आई हैव टू टेक सम रिस्क और समथिंग न्यू आई वांट टू डू, एंड it could cause me all financial harm, and maybe I have nothing, then you can't come back to that 1 lakh again, right? Because you have all these liabilities. So for me, these are liabilities. You have all these liabilities lying around. You have to pay for them to sustain. So I don't take those liabilities. I live as free as I can. So even today, my salary goes to zero, my bank balance goes to minimal as it was before, I can still survive. I can still do.
कितने रुपया महीने में सर्वाइव कर लोगे?
तो अभी मेरा घर का रेंट सबसे ज़्यादा है, क्योंकि आई लिव इन अ गुड लाइक अ विला. तो अगर मैं वो हटा दूं, क्योंकि आई कैन लिव इन एनी अपार्टमेंट एज आई वांट टू.
2-3 BHK में भी रह लूंगा.
2-3 BHK में आराम से रह लूंगा, मुझे कोई इतना नहीं है. तो मेरा खर्चा विद इन 1.5 लाख विद बच्चों का स्कूल एंड एवरीथिंग कैन बी डन. और मैं मतलब अभी 3-4 लाख की इन्वेस्टमेंट करता हूँ, दैट आई हैव टू स्टॉप. तो टोटल आता है 5, बट मैं 1.5 मेरा खर्चा है, 3.5 में इन्वेस्ट करता हूँ. आई थिंक 3.5 आई कैन लेट गो, एंड 1.5 आई कैन बी डन.
16,000 करोड़ की कंपनी का फाउंडर 1.5 लाख रुपया महीना में जी सकता है,
बल्कि उससे कम ही. तो अगर आई कट डाउन, से इफ आई डोंट हैव टू रेंट, then I can, because Bangalore में rent is 50,000 for 3 BHK, because I have now a house, right? I can live there, and I can cut down that as well. So even in worst cases, I'm prepared to live that way, and that is actually the biggest enabler for me.
If you will always be a founder, but will you always start off with your best friends? Will you repeat that again in your life?
So I think no matter what, I think that answer will always be yes. So there would be ups and downs, right? So when I started with Govind and Vimal, they are my best friends. We've been friends for over 18, 19 years now, more than half of our life.
Still best friends?
Uh, I think because I don't have any other friends, so they are the best friends that I have.
Social skills आपका zero हो
zero
गया.
ही है. तो but I think अभी भी anything happens to me, anything they need, anything I need, they are the only people that I'll go to ever. But running a business together also takes its toll on friendship in some ways or the other. Right? Before we started this company, I could go to them for any problem, and today all three of our fates are tied together. So, and as a CEO, as a leader, I also have the responsibility to showcase strength, to showcase positivity in spite of something going wrong, and how do we come out of it, right? I can't lose hope. So earlier, if I'm losing hope in something in like early days, I could go to them and talk about it, right? But today, in my mind, that's a blocker. I can't just go and talk to them about it. I know they will understand. I know they're mature enough to do that, but I personally feel a little hesitant doing it, and it could be just me, right?
Have you become selfish?
I've always been selfish. I've become less selfish over time, but
Really?
I've always been selfish. I think so.
Is it a good trait?
I don't know. It has never interfered in my life that much that it hurts people around me. I'm selfish in a way that I feel that I deserve good in life and I would fight to get that, right? But I have always ensured that people around me are happy.
Aren't you successful?
I think success, yeah, people can say I'm successful. I can also say I'm successful, but I think
आपकी मन की सच्चाई क्या है? Are you
मेरी मन की
successful?
सच्चाई है कि नहीं, अभी मैंने वो प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व नहीं करी है जो मैं सॉल्व करने निकला था.
Far away.
Very far away.
This far away seemed a lot more far away in 2020 when the RBI ban happened.
Yes.
उस समय सोचे थे कि इतना चीजें ऐसे मूव करेंगी?
नहीं, कभी नहीं.
What was that night like?
I think तो जब इंडिया में बैन आया था, माई बिगेस्ट वरी वॉज नॉट बिजनेस, क्योंकि यार बिजनेस तो हमारा मोस्टली ग्लोबल ही था. तब तो इंडिया में इतना क्रिप्टो के बारे में किसी को पता भी नहीं था. बट माई बिगेस्ट वरी वॉज दैट Sequoia had agreed to fund us at that point. And although our business was global, would they see it as a negative sign and pull that funding? Right? So मेरा लेकिन हमेशा से बिजनेस में ही था यार, सेल्फ सस्टेनिंग है, देन वी आर नॉट डिपेंडेंट ऑन एनीवन. सो इट वाज नॉट दैट वी वर डिपेंडेंट ऑन Sequoia to succeed, but that money would have helped us in this turmoil situation to scale faster, better, and create that impact that we were always looking for, right? So we were profitable, but we needed that money to catch that scale. So I remember कि मैं अपने दोस्त की शादी में गया हुआ था. I think जब RBI बैन आया था उसके अगले दिन ही दोस्त की शादी थी, तो हम गए हुए थे उसकी शादी में. And Shailesh, who used to be the MD of Sequoia, who was the partner investor in us, called me, and I was very afraid to pick that call. I felt like यार मैंने call pick करी तो he would say that we are pulling the funding because of the ban, and I still picked it up. I said जो होगा देखेंगे. And he spoke to me कि यार बिजनेस कैसा है, क्या चल रहा है, RBI बैन का इम्पैक्ट है क्या. मैंने कहा नहीं, ज़्यादा इम्पैक्ट नहीं है बिकॉज वी आर अ ग्लोबल बिजनेस, ब्ला ब्ला. एट द एंड आई आस्क्ड हिम कि आर यू फीलिंग रिग्रेटफुल इन एनी वे, और डू यू फील दैट दिस इन्वेस्टमेंट मे नॉट गो थ्रू. इट्स लाइक नो, वी आर बेटिंग ऑन you three. We are not betting on anything else. We know that you're gonna figure out. So I think that was a big relief that day.
आपको लगता है ये इन्वेस्टर्स सच में मानते हैं, या मुझे तो ऐसा लगता है कि इन्वेस्टर्स अंडरस्टैंड जैक शिट अबाउट बिजनेसेस, एंड दिस इज द इजीएस्ट वे टू से दैट यू डू थिंग्स ऑन योर ओन. आई हैव समबडी एल्सेस मनी सिटिंग विथ मी, आई विल गिव यू द मनी.
So investors,
apart from founders who have converted, become investors, most investors who have not been in the founder's journey, I don't think they understand business.
So they don't need to understand business. So when you are investing in someone, or a business, obviously metric would matter at the stage we were at, right? Like seed, Series A.
Seed.
So, usme business will automatically change. I believe every seed investment that has, like we do a lot of investments as well, right? We have a CoinSwitch venture arm.
Correct.
So, at seed stage, you have found one thing that you are able to solve, but not the best. You have found some in-way into the market. But most of these companies evolve over time. Look at Airbnb, look at Uber, look
Everybody.
at all the big companies in the world.
Everybody.
जो वो start हुए थे और जो वो end up हुए,
कभी नहीं,
completely
same
different है.
Right, right.
हम जो start हुए, हम जो end up हुए, completely different है. फेब में न्यूज आती है कि पार्लियामेंट में एक बिल आ गया है जिससे वो बैन कर देंगे क्रिप्टो. And I think that was kind of a breaking point for me. And it was COVID, so we were at home. I was sitting with my wife. We have raised, I think, Series A only at that point with the Ribbit. So we were like, yaar, abhi to life mein sab chalna shuru hua hai. And it felt like somebody has put the brakes right there and then. A car which is going at, say, 120 kilometers an hour, right? So it was a breaking point for me. And telling Rashi, I remember, after, this news was heard, Vimal was getting married on 16th. This, I think, happened on 11th, 10th, 11th or something. 12th was my birthday. So we went down for a walk. And मैं राशि से बोल रहा था कि यार इतनी पास आके ना लूज नहीं करना है. We have to somehow win this. यार
तो विमल जिससे शादी करने वाला था उसने विमल से शादी कर लिया.
कर ली. तो उसकी भी अलग स्टोरी है. Maybe someday we'll discuss that. तो मैंने राशि को बोला कि यार यूनिकॉर्न, मतलब मुझे कभी यूनिकॉर्न का चाव नहीं था. ऐसा नहीं था कि यार वी हैव टू बी अ यूनिकॉर्न, बट यूनिकॉर्न इज आल्सो अ स्टैम्प ऑफ वैलिडेशन, राइट? इट डजंट मीन एनीथिंग. एक बार आप बनते हो, अगले दिन से लाइफ वैसी की वैसी होती है. नथिंग चेंजेस फॉर यू, राइट? बट इट आल्सो सेइंग कि यार यू हैव बिल्ट समथिंग रिमार्केबल दैट समबडी इज एबल टू बिल्ड इट एट $1 billion वैल्यूएशन. तो मैं राशि से नीचे चलते हुए बोल रहा था कि यार मतलब 1 बिलियन नहीं, चलो $500 million ही पहुंच जाते तो एटलीस्ट ये तो होता कि मतलब यू हैव डन समथिंग, राइट? एंड आई डोंट नो हु हर्ड मी सेइंग दैट. नेक्स्ट डे आई हैड अ कॉल विद टाइगर who valued us at $500 million. Luckily, that didn't happen, and we continue to grow and
Nice.
over time. But I think that was one of the most stressful, self-doubt, everything, all kind of feelings at that point. That was the toughest period of my life. And over time, I've become calmer, right? So I used to be like, everything has to happen now, to a person who understands a lot of things, who understand how things work. Because in early phases of your entrepreneur life, you want everything now because you feel that time is running out somehow.
Does
if I
time
don't
run
get
out?
it done today, then it'll never happen and I will fail. That fear always hangs on you and you want things to push. Pushing is important, but over pushing is not, right? So ab wo nahi hota. I still push every single day, every single of my teammate, but I push with knowing that this is not the end of the world.
Are there mistakes that you know of and have realized over time?
Very famous YC saying, but it's very, very true. Unless you solve a problem for your users, you will not succeed. You may raise good rounds, you may be good in salesperson to be able to tell someone and raise good amount of money. Money doesn't solve problems. Unless user accepts you, no matter what happens, you will fail at the end of the day. I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs discount their products to get adoption, right? It's good short-term strategy, but in the long run, they need to figure out whether user will pay me full price at the end of the day. Am I solving a big enough problem for them that it accounts, they are willing to pay you? Because ultimately it's a business. You have to sustain to be able to continually to solve that problem. Otherwise, a lot of people get into personal problems and then which translate, how do I run this company, lose motivation and end up giving. Ultimately, the idea is not to give up.
Staying with your statement of problem solving, what was the problem CoinSwitch was not solving because of which you had to start Lemon?
So I think,
and couldn't Lemon have been incorporated or opened inside
Sure,
CoinSwitch.
sure. So that was the initial plan, but let me, walk you through the thought process, right? So, like I spoke about that, we want to solve it for making wealth equal for middle class, right? And middle class wealth will not just come from crypto; it comes from by simplifying and creating products across asset classes. Some maybe fixed deposits as well, stock market as well, mutual funds as well, and crypto as well. Crypto was the underserved market at that point. We were good at it. So, at a juncture where we wanted to solve for wealth, crypto was growing as the asset class. We were already experts in crypto. CoinSwitch was the next step in solving crypto for India. But our target has always been solving wealth for India, right? So while we raised all the funds in 2021, 2020 for CoinSwitch, from the outside it looked like we were growing crypto. But the idea had always been to build a wealth tech product which solves including crypto. And we tried, merging CoinSwitch and launching all these assets within CoinSwitch ecosystem, but because crypto is unregulated, and SEBI has a rule that you can't launch a product with regulated and unregulated together. So that's why we had to separate it to Lemonn. But the vision is always that over time, crypto would get regulated and we will be a well-tech player solving for each asset class, the investment needs of millions of middle class Indians out there.
Aren't you late to the party? There is a Zerodha, there is a Groww, and though my understanding of these two platforms are slightly different, I'll tell you what the way I see these two platforms versus how
Sure.
do I see Lemonn. I feel that Zerodha is for the extremely mature investor, very data heavy. Groww is slightly more minimalistic in nature. It is easy to navigate from an app. When I look at Lemonn, it seems that it is for the beginner investor, and it's woven the UI UX design philosophy is more around how do I discover new things. It's also a little, I feel it is moving towards gamification more than
Sure.
more than the Zerodha Groww environment.
Sure. So let me explain you how I see the evolution of stock market, right? It used to happen completely offline. Brokers would charge whatever they want to. Zerodha came in, created, simple, free brokerage kind of a plan, which attracted a lot of investors and kind of grew the base to a mass market product, created more digital. Groww came along, which kind of converted the physical journey of forms and everything into an online digital journey, right? So today, what used to happen offline now happens online. But nothing has changed in the life of the user. He still doesn't know which stock to invest in, what to buy, when to sell, when to book profit, when to double down on a stock and average its price. Today, user is struggling exactly the same, right? Although first it used to happen offline, now it happens online, but user pain is still there, right? A lot of people talk about the growth of the stock market, how many people are coming into the stock market, but nobody talks about how many people are leaving the stock market. It's in the millions as well, because they don't know what to do. They will hear
Stock market attrition.
Yes. So a lot of people will invest because their friend would have told, oh, yeah, your stock, will do very good. I'm putting in, you also put in. Yes, I will feel, yeah, I shouldn't miss out. What if whatever he's saying turns true, iska paisa बढ़ जाएगा, मेरा वहीं रह जाएगा. So you end up investing in some stock and then you get stuck with it. You don't know when to book profit, or even if it's lost, should I double down? Because that friend that you spoke about is long gone, maybe switch job. How do you figure out what to do in the stock market? So user problem has not been solved. While the entire infrastructure has become digital, it has become much easier to do things. That is not enough. So there are step change needed in this industry, which actually helps user do better, right? And that is what Lemonn is trying to solve.
But what is the biggest mistakes they make while trying to make a quick buck?
Emotions. I think a lot of times that's what we are trying to solve at Lemonn as well, right? A lot of people in FNO, say for example, may take the right strategy, may have learned every single thing about a strategy and it is working for them, right? But the moment they start hitting losses, the logical mind goes off. It is because it is losses. They are in fear now, right? And even if their strategy is working and it is gaining profit, they are greedy to book that profit early. So a lot of traders, due to these emotions, end up making bad choices, which are against the math, against the strategy that they are trading with, right? So that become harmful for these users, right? Which is fear and greed ultimately dictates what you are doing, and that is what the advantage, say, the people who are trading against you, because it's a zero sum game, right, takes advantage of to make you lose so that they can win, right? So I think that is where we can do a Lemon is trying to solve and do a better job in creating products which are, say, like I spoke about Smart Invest, right? Where an expert is doing this trade. So the fear and emotions are gone away from a user. You can simply put money and create a FNO product, but a passive FNO product, where in that strategy of an expert trader, user can put in the money and see his money be invested in futures and options and grow, rather than doing it himself, which he doesn't know a lot about, plus his emotions will dictate his decision.
Let me say, if somebody who's earning, I'll take your number, about 1 lakh rupees a month,
Sure.
what percentage of that should go into expenditure? What percentage of that should go into saving?
So 1 lakh is post-tax, pre-tax?
Actually, मतलब in take home हाथ
Take home,
में
1 lakh
1 लाख रुपया आ गया टैक्स के बाद.
हाँ, so depend on which city you are living in, right? Say if I take an example that you live in Bangalore, obviously your rent would be much higher, right? So say your expenses may somewhere land between 40 to 50% of your income. I think that's a very good starting point. Next 50,000, in my opinion, 10,000 should go to a emergency fund, right? It could be you could take life insurance as well, and life insurance is mandatory, but medical insurance as well, which is on top of the provided by the company, because you don't know the uncertainty. You don't want to lose that benefit. And remaining maybe 30,000.
What is an emergency fund?
So emergency fund for me is my bank balance, which I can swipe anytime. Yeah.
तो आपने बोला कि invest in a life insurance or something.
No. So sorry. So what I meant was 10,000 emergency fund, 10,000 medical and life insurance, 30,000 which remains can be investable into any asset class. Now your risk appetite dictates how you distribute that 30,000. I would say that at least do 20,000 rupees in mutual funds, and remaining 10,000 you can do 50% in stock and 50% in crypto.
When should a person buy a house? You haven't bought a house yet, but
I have recently.
You have?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So I think
but
again,
when should somebody buy a house?
I think it depends again on. For me, house is not an expense; is peace of mind.
Same here.
For me, like I spoke about going to zero, right? When things go to zero, at least you have your own home to fall back to live there. You don't have to pay rent, find a house, cheaper house. So all this tension goes away. For me, it's more of mentality rather than investment. For a lot of people, this may be an investment decision. For me, it is peace of mind decision. But if you're thinking of investing or buying a house which will be delivered after a few years to you, then you should think slightly ahead and say, what would your needs be at that point in time? So Rashi and I could survive in 2 BHK, but we thought like in the next 4 years, we might have a kid as well. So we might need a 3 BHK to survive. So I would say slightly above, it's a longer term gestation. If it's right there and then you can buy, what you need.
How many BHK did you buy?
3.5. One study, because I thought that, a study would be needed to stay away from the kids and work with a dedicated focus. One room for the kid, one for the parents, and one for us.
Thank you so much for your time. It was lovely having this conversation. I hope that our audience will also find a lot of value in this.
Thanks a lot, Sunny. Thank you.
Thank you.